John Osberger. I'm with Greenshades Sales Director here. Very excited to be chatting with you all today. It's November, which means we get to start thinking about all these fun year-end activities. It's a very busy time for us. I know it's a very busy time for y'all as well, so I appreciate everyone taking out some time, especially for a very important topic. Probably a little bit more important this year than in previous years, just because some of the changes around year-end filings. So we're just going to talk a little bit about strategies and practices and just some important information to consider this time of year when it comes to electronic filing and distribution. Again, my name is John Osberger, a Director of Sales. I'm a Point Solutions Director. Basically what that means is when we're supporting our clients who have very specific needs, whether it has to do with help with their year-end filings, with tax filings throughout the year, HR solutions, some of our standalone compliance solutions. I oversee the sales team that works with clients about those. So, my team actually does oversee our year-end form solutions. I have been in business-to-business software and technology sales for just shy of 20 years, wide variety of different types of technology and solution sales. As far as payroll and HR, I have been with Greenshades since January of 2020, so just shy of 4 years here at Greenshades. Now, just from looking at some of the names of the attendees, I know that I've worked directly with some of y'all over the years, and hopefully we'll be working with more of you as well. As far as the agenda today, pretty straightforward. We're going to talk a little bit about essentially the process that a lot of folks are pretty familiar with today as far as paper filing. Going to talk a little bit about some of those recent changes. This is going to be a pretty big year for a lot of folks out there for filing because there are going to be some process changes for them. We're going to talk a little bit about electronic filing, the benefits, what it means for you as a user by leveraging that avenue. And then, it being a Greenshades webinar, we'll also talk a little bit about year-end filing with Greenshades as well. Some of you are familiar with some of the capabilities with Greenshades. I'm sure there's a large number of folks on the call today that would be new to Greenshades, so we'd love to get you a high-level understanding of what we can do. And then, obviously, we'd love to chat with you more on a one-on-one conversation, provide you some more specifics as well. First off, though, I do want to stress that, we are providing high-level insights and guidance. Please don't construe what we're discussing today as legal advice. As always, when it comes to topics such as compliance and HR, please check with your HR team, your legal counsel, your accounting group as well. Now, on that note, we actually do have a partnership with a solutions provider called My HR Counsel, who can provide HR legal advice. So if you are interested in leveraging their expertise, just let us know. We can get you connected with those folks. We actually have some offerings here at Greenshades, which includes access to My HR Counsel at no additional cost, which is a nice benefit. But we are going to just talk a little bit about paper filing, just a quick overview. I understand this is going to be, old hat for a lot of folks. Just as far as paper filing, traditional, sometimes necessary in some situations up to this point. Again, it's a process that a lot of people on this call are probably familiar with and have been doing for years and years and years. There are some things to consider with paper filing. First, it can be very time consuming. It's a manual process, manual completion of forms, manual reviews. As far as the distribution, there's the mailing that has to be taken into account as well. Not just for the time and effort on your end as far as putting everything together and getting ready for it being mailed out, but it's 2023 coming on 2024. Mail, it's not operating as quickly as it has in the past. You have to allow for that time frame as well. It's been a little more difficult year over year to handle distribution of paper forms. Processing a little bit slower as well from the government agencies, from the federal down to the local level. It's just not as efficient or as quick as electronic submissions. That actually does play into deadlines as well, which we'll actually talk to here in just a moment. And then from a documentation standpoint, more effort involved with maintaining, producing physical documents, whether it's just for internal purposes or, unfortunately, if you're counting audits as well. Compliance issues, it can be a bit cumbersome. There's also the potentially a little bit more of a risk of error as far as on the human side. Manual mailing processes can, increase some risk with distribution and mailing. Corrections can be a bit of a hassle. Making corrections to paper forms can be a bit cumbersome, and especially in comparison to e-filing. Additionally, there's also some cost implications with paper forms. You got the expenses related to paper, printing, postage, all of that can add up. Labor costs as well, more of a soft cost. Just the manual process of putting everything together, just internally, even before you get it out to filing and distribution. Some of those soft costs can add up as well. Decreased accessibility, that is a big topic today. A lot of that is due to how people are working. There are more remote workers, whether it's full-time or even in a hybrid environment. So obviously, if you're doing things by paper, if you're got a pretty remote staff, it can be a little bit more difficult in coordinating the process and taking care of all those steps. Obviously, just paper filing is not conducive to remote work environments. There's also potentially collaboration issues as you're going through and collecting, gathering, consolidating all the data needed, doing your reviews. It can be a little bit harder to do it by paper if folks are working remotely because you may not be on similar work from office schedules. And generally, it's just not going to be as convenient compared to electronic filing. The filings themselves, the forms, you're just not going to be as accessible, searchable compared to digital files. Now, as I mentioned before, paper related to e-filing, there are some differences as it relates to due dates. Here we've got a breakdown of essentially the most common forms that Greenshades works with for year-end forms. The items bolded are going to be for paper filing. Now, W-2, paper, and e-filing, it's roughly the same, January 31st, 2024, but there are going to be some differences with the other forms. As you can see from the breakdown of these various ones, you've got about a month additional to work with e-filing for most of them. Most of your 1099s, although the NECs are both due on January 31st. But the other 1099s, your 1095s, you'll have an additional month as far as handling your submissions for your e-file compared to paper. And a lot of that is due to the fact that, the IRS needs some additional time to process paper forms. So they'll give you a little bit more of a cushion there for your electronic filing because it's easier for them to handle on their end. Now, just big picture, going back to 2020, there have been some pretty big variances with some of these file types year over year as far as due dates. If you did your filings last year, then you can see that for the most part, these due dates are pretty consistent compared to your 2022 filings. One difference, and it's not an April Fool's joke, is some of these forms are due on April 1st because I believe the 31st falls on a Sunday. So on that note, I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the recent changes to e-filings. You might be familiar with some of these already. The IRS has been communicating this information to clients throughout the year. And I know that a lot of the folks in our dealer network, whether it's related to, accounting partners, whether it's related to technology partners, they're trying to be very communicative about this as well to their clients. The big change, obviously, is the threshold for e-filing. Previously, it was 250 forms. That threshold is dropped down to 10 forms. And that 10 forms is cumulative across all the various applicable return types. So it's not 10 forms per filing, it's 10 forms across all filings. That's the big change. Basically, that is going to necessitate a need for clients to start electronic filing, even if they've never done it before. There might be situations where you've handled e-filing with a certain type, but not another. Unfortunately, you're not going to have that flexibility as well because of the way they're counting forms. So, for instance, if you're an organization that has 1095 filing requirements because you're at that 50 employee threshold, well, basically that means that you've got to handle e-filing not just for your 1095s, but for your W-2s and your 1099s and all of your other various form types that Greenshades isn't even associated with, like 1120s and 3921s and 5498s and all kinds of different form types. So, make sure that you do your due diligence to verify whether you're meeting that threshold. The important thing to consider is this is a federal requirement. You definitely want to check with your various states as well to see if they have any e-filing requirements that have changed for 2023 as well. So the big takeaway that I would recommend is, make sure you're consulting with your tax advisor, accounting teams, just ensure that you are going to be filing properly for 2023 because it is going to be a bit of a change from previous years. Also, something to consider is how you're currently handling those filings. Like, for instance, 1095s is a good example. We work with a lot of clients who, work with them on like their 1099s and W-2s, but not their 1095s because those are handled via, like their insurance broker or a different partner in the benefits world. So make sure that you are understanding how you're handling those e-filings today. Because there may be a need to leverage multiple solutions providers, especially when it comes to some of those different file types that aren't related, to others like some of the ones I mentioned specifically. Now, as far as e-filing, the IRS has made some updates on their end. They've made some advancements to help things out with folks as they have these new e-filing requirements. They have developed the IRS portal. I believe it stands for Information Return Intake Systems, just to make things a bit easier for clients. Now, this is only applicable for 1099. So the other filing types would not be supported by IRS. It is a free system. It's available to organizations to use for their 1099s. It's secure. It does not require specialized software. And really what the IRS is trying to do is just simplify the process around e-filing, help facilitate more timely reporting, help the overall reporting accuracy, and then also, of course, reduce the cost for payers that are required to report electronically. By providing this software, free of cost, you can more easily move away from paper and get some cost savings that way. So combined with the new e-filing requirements, really the IRS is just hoping to reduce the millions of 1099 forms typically filed on paper each year. As you can see on the right-hand side, we actually did help out with testing of the IRS portal, so we appreciate giving that opportunity. A lot of that goes back to the fact that we've been providing compliant, accurate, efficient, effective year-end filing solutions for going on 20 plus years at this point. Again, we appreciate the opportunity to do testing because it can be a great value for clients. Now, one thing to keep in mind with the IRS portal is the IRS does require filers to register for that TCC code, the transmitter control code. That will enable the IRS to validate the filer identity. Registering for the TCC does involve an application process via the IRS. One thing to keep in mind is that it can take up to 45 days to receive that TCC. So obviously right now, if that's an avenue that you're interested in using, we're getting pretty much close to that time frame where, we're hitting up on that 45-day threshold being, the first second week in November. So that's important to keep in mind if you're hoping to use the IRS portal. As far as the benefits of electronic filing, some things to keep in mind is essentially you have two options. You can go ahead and independently file on the various websites and platforms provided by government agencies, whether it's IRIS, whether it's at the state level, even at the local level as well. There are avenues depending on the specific entity, specific agency to handle electronic filing. Other option, obviously, is going to be to leverage software solutions like Greenshades that will help facilitate those submissions for your e-filing as well. So a couple options. Obviously, the benefit of using specific software solutions is we can be a bit more global, potentially a single platform for a wide variety of e-filings as opposed to, government agency by government agency with not just different sites, but different processes, different protocols as well. So there are some benefits to using a solution provider, not just, but, including Greenshades. And then I did want to go ahead and, recap some of these due dates as well, because as mentioned, they are going to be different for e-filing. You're given a little bit more grace, about a month or so in some of these filings. Again, some of the forms are going to be the same, W-2, 1099 NEC, but the MISC, the DIV, the 1095C, you'll have a little bit more of a buffer there as far as the due dates compared to paper. So that's always a good thing, especially around year-end time, because we do understand that year-end filings are not going to be the only year-end activities that you have. Generally, you can have a large number of year-end responsibilities. So anytime you get a little extra leeway on some of these submissions, that's going to be a good thing. All right, so as far as the advantages of electronic filing, it's quick, it's easy. It allows for instant submission of year-end forms to all your various relevant authorities. So it's a quicker process, more efficient compared to paper submissions. And then touched on before regarding paper takes a little bit quicker to process within the agency itself. Electronic filing, they're typically processed a lot quicker than paper forms. So you get quicker confirmations, just a lot easier process for everyone. And additionally, you get that instant confirmation as far as submissions. When you e-file, you'll get that confirmation. You'll have that assurance that forms have been filings have been delivered, forms have been received, and then there's also the potential for status tracking as well, something that you're not going to get with paper forms as well. So you have a little bit more transparency into the process. It is going to be also a lot more convenient. You can file from anywhere. When you're handling electronic filing, you don't need to be in the office. You don't have to have access to specific paper, physical forms. 24/7 availability. We do understand that December, January, they can be busy times of year. Some of the clients we work with will actually allocate off hours time to handle some of these filings, especially when it comes to some more of the labor intensive ones like 1095s. So by handling electronic filing, you can go ahead and do the prep work, get the submissions on the schedule that makes sense for you. And then additionally, easy record keeping. You'll have a digital file, easy to store, easy to share. You don't have to worry about, physical locations. You also have enhanced compliance via automated compliance, audit trails as well, and electronic filing, something you're not going to get with, with paper files as well. So really just a lot of convenience filings with electronic filing. Just makes things easier for everyone from filer and recipient as well. Now, on top of that, there are going to be inherently some environmental benefits of electronic filing. Obviously, less paper, less demand for paper, better conservation of trees and forests. There's also going to be the reduction in physical transportation needed to ensure e-filing. You actually don't have to send anything physical. And then, one benefit, especially if you're dealing with a large number of forms over a large number of filing types, is by staying electronic, you don't have to worry about the physical storage. If you have your internal or your, specific, your industry specific storage requirements, those demanded by government as well, it's a lot easier to, stick to those guidelines, stick to those requirements when you're dealing with electronic files compared to, big piles of paper and file boxes and all that fun stuff. Alrighty, so the flip side of filing is going to be distribution. So I want to talk a little bit about that as well. Electronic form distribution can be of great benefit to recipients as well. Easy to get, easy to receive, easy to manage, a lot more convenient. Typically, you'll get those forms a lot sooner than paper copies as well. Some things to keep in mind for electronic form distribution is obviously you need to make sure that you have updated contact information, updated email address information, so you can ensure that recipients get their forms properly. Depending on how those forms are delivered, could be through an employee self-service portal. Obviously, you want to make sure that employees have access to that to make things easier for them. And the big thing to keep in mind with electronic form distribution is, if you're delivering electronic pay stubs to employees, electronic tax forms are different. You cannot force electronic tax forms on people. They have to consent in, so it's very important that you get that consent as early in the process from your employees. I know that most of our clients will try to get that when they actually onboard their new employees. That makes everyone's job easier when you have that consent because it's less paper for you to manage, less paper for you to mail out as well. And then I know we just have a few minutes, but last but not least, did want to talk about year-end filing with Greenshades as well. So with Greenshades, we provide a wide variety of tax solutions around year-end forms. We provide a solution that covers about 20 different types of year-end forms, from your W-2s to about 10 different 1099 types, 1095s, 1098s. We have a large client base in the tribal and casino space. We handle W-2Gs. So we handle a wide variety of types. We give you the flexibility to satisfy all your e-filing requirements through one simplified portal. We can not only handle the e-filing, but also the distribution as well. So we can offload the distribution from you, and we will take on that responsibility as ourselves. We can support electronic distribution of forms, depending on the form type. We can also handle the print mail distribution. 1099s, most of our clients will still send out paper copies just because of the nature of that relationship with vendors. Well, we can assume that responsibility for you, where you just basically have us take care of that so you don't have to go through all that fun manual process of sending out forms. And really just provide a compliant, comprehensive solution that allows you to quickly create your filings, review them. We will check for potential issues, concerns with compliance, handle the distribution, and then we will also handle that e-filing as well. And just make the process efficient. Whether you just need Greenshades for specific subset of forms or 1099s, or if you need help across the board, we can be a great partner for that as well. All right, and for those unfamiliar with Greenshades, just some background on our company. We have been providing solutions around payroll, HR, tax, and compliance going back to 2002, so about 21 years. So been doing this for over 2 decades. Again, we handle a wide variety of year-end form filings. Outside of that, we have a variety of payroll, HR, and compliance solutions. On the tax side, we can help out with your filings throughout the year. So your state withholding, your state unemployment, 940s, 941s, new hire returns as well. And then we actually have a full comprehensive payroll HR platform, which bundles in our wide variety of payroll and HR solutions into a single platform and provides our clients a lot of control and flexibility as well. So regardless of whether you need help with just a single topic like year-end forms, or if you need something a bit more comprehensive, we can potentially be a great fit for that.
And again, just thank you guys for being here with us today. We really appreciate it. In the meantime, enjoy the rest of your day. And thanks so much for being here. Bye-bye.